Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Foreman, and this is the Gerry Lopez 9-foot longboard by Naish, Hawaii. Gerry's doing a collaborative effort with Naish, Hawaii, putting some of his more popular shapes into their production series, and we're lucky enough to get on the first delivery of these boards, and just had an amazing session yesterday on this board in pretty close to perfect longboard conditions, or kind of varying longboard conditions all day. And to get our heads in the right mindset, I didn't go from surfing shortboards all day to then just taking this board out. I surfed a bunch of different longboards in my quiver, and then surfed this board, the Lopez 9-footer. So that way I was able to have like a baseline to compare it off of. It's really hard if you go from shortboards directly to a longboard. A lot of the longboards will feel the same. But if you go longboard, 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 and then a longboard that you want to try out, that allows you to compare and contrast and talk about the specifics of this longboard. The conditions that we had, they were varying anywhere from, I'd say, about knee high, some shin high, knee high surf. Best sets of the day were probably about chest high. There was a good amount of wind in the afternoon, blowing like cross offshore, and there was some chop, like kind of some mixed swell veins going up the face on some of the confused sets. So there was a varying conditions, anything from like hero longboarding to a little bit more challenging longboarding. So it was a good day to test this board. The board, when Gerry's doing the boards with Naish, he wants the board. He doesn't want to make a production board that is, what a lot of people would call a pop out. And this, so this board is not a sandwich construction board. It's a standard PU blank. Which is polyurethane blank, which is the same standard blank that you're seeing on 95% of the surfboards out there these days. It has a multi-ply stringer in it to give it good strength in the center of the board, and then it has a real solid glass schedule on the deck and the bottom, so it does have a good solid feel to it, and the deck does hold up well. Like, we surfed this board quite a bit yesterday, and you can look down the deck of the board, like close up where I am here, and see that we're not really starting to get any heel dents on the board yet. I'm sure it will over time, but it's a good sign after a solid day of surfing not to see the deck beat up, because if it's not beat up after the first day, it's not going to start falling apart early. But this board would fall into what's called a performance longboard category, but it also has some nose riding ability to it as well. Typically performance longboards are real thin and really rockered out, and they're better for turning than they are for nose riding. This board's got some width to it at 23 inches wide and 3 1/8 thick. It has some width to it, and it has some foam to it. Good amount of float for a 9-footer. So at my size at 215, I'm typically only riding a 9-foot longboard in better waves. Normally in small kind of junky waves, I'll ride a 9.6. But with the amount of width and the amount of thickness that this board has, it still feels good in small waves. It doesn't feel underpowered like a lot of the bigger wave longboards would. The shape of the board, the nose is a moderate width nose, and you can see that it does come to a subtle point in the front. And what that helps with is it still has enough area and flotation and lift to nose ride it, but that subtle point and the moderate width up front help the board build and maintain speed when you're paddling, but then also when you're flying down the line, you don't have this big nose in front of you that's bouncing and stopping the momentum of the wave. That was one of the things that I really picked up on this board compared to the other boards that I rode yesterday, is that the board, it paddles really well, it carries a lot of momentum, so any effort that you put into paddling, it carries that speed and then allows you to continue to build on it. Paddling into the wave, it was, all the boards that I surfed that day, it caught waves. It was one of the best wave catchers in the group, and it also, in the windy sessions, it just powered through the wind and powered through the chop, kind of blasted everything out of the way. And a lot of that has to do with that solid feel that the board has, and then also with the nose not being too extreme and having that subtle point just to penetrate through everything. So this board would not only catch waves really well, but that speed that you were paddling, when you dropped in, you then had that speed to build on the wave. The setup on the bottom, it's got a really subtle single concave through the board that then goes to V with concave set in between the stringer and each of the rails. And the fin setup is a 2+1 fin setup with more closely related fin sizes than what you normally see. Normally you'll see like a 7.5 center fin, and then you'll see the side bites be closer to 3 inches. This board has 4-inch side bites and a 6-inch center fin, so they're a tighter size cluster, which is basically gives the board more maneuverability and the ability to, with those bigger side bites, the ability to utilize them to generate more down the line speed by pumping the board up and down the wave face. A lot of longboards come with either no fins or just total junk throwaway fins, like plastic fins. This board comes with high-end fins, so a foam honeycomb cord fin, foam honeycomb cord fin with a fiberglass layup, so a nice high-end fin. And then even the fin boxes, they're using genuine FCS plugs. They're not using the knockoff plugs. So you know that it's a well-made system, and it's also a universal system. If you're traveling anywhere in the world, you can get replacement FCS fins for your side fin. And then the center fin is just a standard US longboard box side fin. So overall, I would say really good performer, really wide range of use for a 9-foot board because of the speed that it'll generate with that concave bottom and the edge that you feel right here. The paddling of the board's really good, really easy to catch waves. Like the wave count that we had on this board was really high. I mean, obviously really high compared to a shortboard, but even compared to some of the other longboards that we were surfing in the afternoon when it got real windy, this board, it didn't even matter that it was windy. It just went straight through the wind. And the surfing ability of the board was nice because there were some nice little, kind of crouch longboard mini tubes that you could just be blazing down the line and see a little section set up. And this board had the speed to make it and backdoor those sections with speed and get a little barrel on a longboard, which is a blast, especially seeing at the same session the shortboarders, it wasn't really like a good shortboard session, especially when they got windy. So it's super fun board. It's made by Naish, Hawaii, and it is the Gerry Lopez 9-foot longboard. If you have any more questions about this board, you can call us at the shop, 252-987-6000, or you can check it out on our website, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.